let's light our chalice. If you have one, go ahead and light yours. And we will say our covenant and our invocation.
This is indeed a day to celebrate.
Let us rejoice in it and be glad.
Let us count our many blessings.
Let us be grateful for the capacity to feel and understand.
Let us be grateful for the incredible gift of life.
Let us be especially grateful
for the ties of love that bind us together.
Give identity, meaning, worth, and joy to all our days.
Join me in our covenant, our promise to each other and to ourselves.
Love is the spirit of this place,
and service is its law. This is our great covenant.
To dwell together in peace.
To seek the truth in love. And to help one another.
Welcome to my special place. This is my sacred place, Corey. This is my elm tree.
I can see why.
See why.
It's very cool. When I look at this tree, I just think about how big it is, how enormous it is.
Isn't it?
You know, when you think of a tree of this size, it makes me wonder about all the stories that tree has to tell.
I know. And can you imagine how long it's been here?
Yeah, I was just wondering the same thing. Do we know how old this tree is?
I have no idea. I know it's older than me.
Wow.
I know. I mean, it was big when I was little.
Yeah.
And can you imagine when it was little? Can you imagine when it started? Do you know what an elm seed looks like? Can you imagine it floating in the breeze here on this land? I mean, who knows how long ago?
Yeah.
And planting itself here and growing in the rain and the sun and in this soil with all of the bugs and organisms.
You know what else that's wonderful about a tree like this? Are the roots. The way the roots go into the earth and spread, right?
And look at them.
Yeah.
Wow. And they go all the way out. I mean, who knows how far these
it reaches
roots
out.
grow. And the branches. And it produces seeds every year.
Seeds every year.
It's amazing.
I love the thousands of leaves that a tree like this has. Because as the seasons change, those leaves start to turn colors.
Mm-hmm.
And each leaf has its own beautiful pattern. You know, it's one of the beautiful things about nature. It's one of the things that I love about spring and fall, especially fall, is when the leaves on trees like this, not just trees like this, but any tree, when those leaves start to turn colors. I love fall foliage.
Today, I want to talk to you about your spark, about what makes you come alive, what makes you interested and interesting, what feeds your soul. Is it animals? Is it math equations? Is it keeping things in order or messing things up? It can be anything. It can be anything. It's your spark. And finding it can take a lifetime, can take just a moment. Some people know it from the time they're itty bitty. Some people have several. Some people have one. Some people go through many of them. There's no right way to find your spark. But we all have them. And it's kind of what makes the world interesting. So I hope you find sparks. I hope you keep your eyes out for them.
I've always had a strong sense of call. There have been moments when I've just what it feels like, just moments when I've known that, like I knew when I experienced birth that I had to do that. I had to become a midwife. So it's a feeling of being compelled. It's something that comes from the inside out. For me, it's been something that comes from inside and is a very clear, compelling sense, almost of urgency, without knowing where it will lead or what it will mean. It's been for me a request or almost a demand that this is what's next. But I think that's really important, to trust that voice when you hear it, because the world, our parents and our teachers and our neighbors and the culture in general might have an idea of what we're supposed to become and what they want us to be. And then that voice we hear from inside might not be aligned with what our parents or teachers or friends are expecting of us. So I think it's important to respect and honor those impulses that come from within that are really about our true nature and our essence. Like that sense that we are each a seed and we're meant to grow. We're supposed to become, like an acorn becomes an oak tree. We're meant to become that oak tree, right? We have the DNA from the genes from our two parents, and that creates a unique combination of gifts and skills and awarenesses and sensitivities. And that constellation that's in our genetic material is meant to become itself. So others have expectations, but only we know from the inside out what we're growing, what we're becoming. So I think it's really important to listen within, to hear, and then to trust. That's the other part of call. I think it's really important is to trust, because it's hard when what you're hearing from inside is different than what other people are expecting of you. So it takes courage and faith and support and community to dare to take that step that's responding to that impulse from inside, especially if it contradicts what other people are expecting from you. And I think we have to trust each step. Again, we can't see often. One step just leads to the next. We can't see 5 steps ahead. We often can only see the next step. So following one's call is just about taking the next step. It's not about the destination. It's about trusting the next movement. And also remembering, this is the point I wanted to make, also remembering that your life is a gift. So in Buddhism, they say that the likelihood of incarnating as a human being is as unlikely as this story I'm about to tell you. Imagine a deep sea turtle, a turtle underwater in the huge ocean, out in the middle of the deepest ocean, and finally needing to surface to take a breath of air. And so the turtle is slowly making its way towards the center of the vast Pacific or vast Atlantic Ocean. And on the surface of the water, all by itself, is a ring, like a golden ring floating on the surface of the water. And as the turtle surfaces in this vast ocean, it happens to surface through the golden ring. It's so improbable in the vastness of the ocean that a turtle would surface through that ring. That's how unlikely it is that you or I would be born as a human being with all the opportunities and all the challenges that exist in our one lifetime. So that story helps me remember the preciousness of this my one human birth, or your one human birth, and inspires me to grow as whole as possible in my lifetime, which I think is actually every human being's call. No matter what choices we make, no matter how we live that out, that's actually our purpose, to grow as whole as we can with this one precious human birth that we've been given, so that there can be more love in the world.
Our song this season is There's a River Flowing Through My Soul. I'm sure you've heard it before. Sing it with me. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. In my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind. Heart. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart.
I would probably be an evergreen, just because my son lives in the Pacific Northwest, and I know the first time I went up there to visit him, that's one of the things that I marveled over, was how big, how enormous those trees were. So I would say an evergreen tree. And I love their pine needles too. That pine scent that they give off. Yeah. Very aromatic. So I would definitely say an evergreen tree.
I can see that. And they're kind of like, I don't know.
Big and tall and majestic, if you will, and they just reach up forever in the sky.
And they're kind of like guardians.
Exactly. I can see that.
I see that nature in you.
I see that. Yeah.
If I could be any tree in the world, I think I'd be an apple tree, because I want to nourish people and to bring gifts to people. And so I want people to feel stronger and healthier, and I want to bring sweetness and joy and all the things that apples can bring, or a fruit tree can bring. So I would be a fruit tree and probably an apple tree.
I think if I were a tree, I would be a weeping willow. Because for me, it's always been really clear that life involves a lot of suffering. It's the first noble truth in Buddhism. So to be human means to experience loss and sadness and grief and loneliness and alienation and all those really challenging emotions. So being able to alleviate suffering, other people's suffering and my own suffering, has been a really important part of my spiritual path and my call to ministry. How do I alleviate suffering in the world? Because there's so much. So the beauty of the weeping willow, the tenderness, the gentleness of a weeping willow, to me is really important. Oh, yeah.
I think I would want to be, this isn't like me saying that my personality is such that this is the tree I am. This is like I aspire to be a sequoia, a giant sequoia. They get to live so long. They see so much, even just in the little part of the woods that they're in. They're surrounded by other buddies, other huge tree buddies. And even when there's like forest fires and things burn, that's actually okay for them, because then the burned out husks of the old sequoias provide the nutrients for the young ones to grow, and they call those fairy rings. They're like a circle of burned out redwoods around it. So yeah, definitely sequoia.
So when I was a little girl, I remember I'd spend my weekends up at my grandparents' farm in Kansas. And it wasn't like a big farm, it was very, very little. But my grandparents had this tree in their front yard, this giant pecan tree. And it was too high to actually reach the pecans. We had to wait for them to fall. But when they fell, and they would, you know when you buy pecans at the store?
Yeah.
And even if you buy them like in the hull where you have to crack them,
Yeah.
they're usually about that big.
Yeah.
And you can just crack them open and you get the pecan out.
Right.
But when they fall off the tree, they're in a much bigger green hull.
Are they really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
You can't eat that.
Yeah.
So my grandpa would drive over them in his pickup truck to crack open the hulls.
Right.
So we'd go drive back and forth over the spot under the pecan tree to where everything was cracked open. And then the grandkids would go out and gather all of the pecans.
Right.
And we put them in big bowls and big Tupperware bowls and bring them into the house. And then we'd spend, it seemed like months, cleaning these pecans. And we were always told not to eat them. We always would. We would sneak a little bit.
Yeah, you have to. That's part of the fun, right?
But we would clean the pecans and clean the pecans and clean the pecans. And then Grandma would make pies. They were so good. Pecan pies, fresh pecan pies with real pecans grown right outside the front door.
Yeah.
Oh,
That sounds delicious.
So good.
I can almost smell that pie coming out of the oven, Shannon.
I would be a pecan tree, making all those fabulous pecans for everyone to enjoy.
Right.
And that's part of my calling. I want to bring some happiness, some joy, some light to the world. I want to make it a little bit better place.
Yeah. That's a beautiful calling.
Thanks.
You do a good job of it too.
Thank you.
Go and be blessed and be a blessing and always answer, "Here I am." Help me blow out our chalice. Help me blow out our chalice. Thank you for being here today. For the last 100 years, All Souls has been a beacon of free faith. For the last 10 months, we have stretched ourselves to continue to offer incredible programs and services, meaningful ways to connect with each other, serve the needs of our community. All of our programs are offered freely, making every opportunity for growth and connection accessible. We cannot continue to do this work without your support. Please consider making a gift or your 2021 pledge today if you can. No gift is too small. Thank you, and know that we love you.